Did 37-year-old cancer patient Derek Johnson get beaten up in East Portland after coming out of a chemotherapy session because an Antifa mob mistook him for a neo-Nazi? No, that's not true. The story was made up by a Canadian website that invents tales of bizarre crimes and weird sex acts for entertainment purposes. It did not happen for real. The story originated from an article published by World News Daily Report on October 20, 2018 titled, "Chemotherapy Patient Beaten Up by Antifa Mob After Being Mistaken for Neo-Nazi Skinhead," which opened, quote, "A 37-year-old chemotherapy patient was savagely beaten by what he describes as an Antifa mob as he was escorted by his 74-year-old mother in a wheelchair out of the hospital." Derek Johnson, 37, who has been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, had just undergone his third session of chemotherapy at the Providence Cancer Center in East Portland when the attack occurred. Only moments after exiting the hospital, he and his mother were separated by a mob of protesters dressed in black as he was thrown off of his wheelchair and onto the street asphalt. End quote. Users on social media only saw this title, description and thumbnail, leading many to think it was real. Quote, "Chemotherapy patient beaten up by Antifa mob after being mistaken for neo-Nazi skinhead." A 37-year-old chemotherapy patient was savagely beaten by what he describes as an Antifa mob as he was escorted by his 74-year-old mother in a wheelchair out of the hospital. Derek Johnson, 37, who has been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, had just undergone his third session of chemotherapy. End quote. However, the image of the cancer patient seems to be taken from a 2010 blog posts where somebody describes their experience with high-dose chemo. Quote, "Mr. Blob 9000 Some images taken during the high-dose chemo that I've been meaning to post but haven't previously. My legs a few days after the initial kidney failure and the blisters formed. They were still weeping, I think they called it, at this point, but they were all popped by this time." End quote. And the image of the beatdown seems to come from a riot video taken during a protest. The website World News Daily Report is a well-known satire website specialized in posting hoaxes and made-up stories. The disclaimer on their website is pretty clear about that, even though you have to scroll all the way down the page to find it. Quote, "World News Daily Report assumes all responsibility for the satirical nature of its articles and for the fictional nature of their content. All characters appearing in the articles in this website, even those based on real people, are entirely fictional, and any resemblance between them and any person, living, dead or undead, is purely a miracle." End quote. It is run by Janet Murray Hall and Olivier Ligo, who also run the satirical Journal de Montréal, a satirical site spoofing the real Journal de Montréal. Very often their stories feature an image showing a random crazy mugshot found in a mugshot gallery on the internet or on a stock photo website superimposed over a background of flashing police lights or crime scene tape. Articles from the site are frequently copied, sometimes even months or years later, by various fake news websites that omit the satire disclaimer and present the information as real. We wrote about worldnewsdailyreport.com before. Here are our most recent articles that mention the site. Fake news: Canadians do not face donut shortage after first day of cannabis legalization. Fake news: woman not arrested for trying out dozens of sex toys in Walmart store. Fake news: pro-choice activist did not break world record by getting 27th abortion. Fake news: daughter not kicked out of home after she refused to wash hair for 6 years. Fake news: obese couple did not make 3-story fall after floor collapses during sex.